All right, so I'm gonna open up my outline of my logo design in Illustrator with the connectors added into it. I'm gonna click on it and this image trace option will come up. If you click on the arrow, there's a bunch of preset options, but I like to make my own custom options with the image trace window here. If you don't have that, go up to window, make sure image trace is checked. You also have these advanced options that are very helpful. So I'm going to go to one of my presets that I've saved. And this looks like it might be broken up a little bit, so I'm just going to zoom in by pressing Command and the plus key. And that's actually clean and it looks good, and I like that brushy look or broken look. As long as it's not totally broken, it should be fine. Make sure that you're on fills and not strokes. You can move these around, let the computer work a little bit, and you can see what happens. That's not so great. So it's a lot of trial and error just to get it to be where you want to be. It depends on your drawing style and lots of different stuff. I'm going to go back to my preset because I know that works. And then when you're ready and it looks good, hit expand. And then you're going to right click and ungroup. Now we are going to remove the inner layer that's created in here. Make sure you're in the direct selection tool, the white arrow. And if you can go in closer, you can see that there's an inner layer and an outer layer. If you do Command Y, you can see just the lines and what they look like here. So what we're doing is deleting, hit Command Y again, deleting the inner layer. So select on it, hit delete twice, and that should just fill it in with whatever your fill color is. Usually it's just set as black. So I'm going to go through and delete everything. If you had a script text with loops or whatever, you'd want to overlap them the way I did here. It just makes this process a whole lot easier. And if you have a lot of letters, this is a really good time to put on some podcast or even a show in the background, because I'm just going to hit Command Z there because this can be time consuming. Okay, and see, I have these connectors where there's openings in the letter, and if I didn't have them, it becomes really annoying. It's possible, but it becomes annoying to make that O, the center of the O or the center of the R, be empty. So what I usually do if I forget to do that, which I pretty much forget to do it every time, is I go back, draw them, and rescan it. It's just easier. So then you want to pick your colors now, and the colors, we're going to add texture and the colors are going to change, but okay, so this is scanned in as grayscale, so obviously it's not the blue that I want, so I'm going to come up here to my color palette, go in this drop down menu. If it's for web, you can just choose RGB. If it was for print, you'd want it CMYK. I'm going to select these. I want to make it the same color as the R, so I'm going to get my eyedropper tool and just click on it. Back to direct selection, eyedropper tool, get that all the same color. We need to find out the size of our document in Illustrator before bringing it into Photoshop. I know that I scanned it in at 600 dpi, but I'm not sure exactly what size it is, so I'm just going to quickly go to the artboard window, and if you don't have that open, you come up to Window, check Artboards, and click over here, and it's 6.17 inches by 4.21 inches, and I usually have a little like sheet of scrap paper that I write that down on. Just click cancel, select this all, Command C for copy, go into Photoshop, go to File, New, 600, and change this to inches, 6.17, 4.21. Press OK. And Command V for paste. Definitely make this a smart object because we're wanting to keep the vector outline of the layer. I'm going to have to hit return to set it in there. I'm just going to do logo. It's good to get in the habit of naming your layers. Okay, now we're going to bring in some of the textures. Command O for open, and see, that's what I want. Open, and I'm just going to take this rectangle selection tool, bottom part here, Command C, come back in here, Command V, call it toothbrush, texture, and then what I like to do is turn down the opacity so I can see what I'm doing. Go up to the Move tool, get this in the right place. And this obviously isn't perfect. It's just going to be a subtle thing. I'm also going to change the color so it matches that blue color that I've chosen. So go to Image, Adjustments, Color Balance. Start with the shadows, bring it over to cyan and blue, be a little more towards the green, change the midtones. This one will go a little more purple. I want to do the highlights on that one too, just to get it really blue. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. And now you can see we've started off. You can always press OK and then come back and give it, change the tone even more. I actually want to add some red into these shadow shapes, give it a little more depth. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to create the clipping mask. So hold the Option key down, make sure that your texture is on top of the lettering. Hold the Option key and it's also the Alt key, and just move your cursor till you see how it changes there, and then just click. And now your texture is set within those really clean vector outlines because you've made it a smart object, and you can still move it around. You can play with the opacity. Okay, I'm going to keep adding more textures in here. File, open. I have some that I like. This one that I made a while ago. So this is some just really wet ink, and then I dripped some alcohol, and that's where these big bubble things come from, on a Q-tip, and I just dripped it into the wet ink, and then I just dump a bunch of salt in there and let it dry, and then when it's dry, brush the salt off with my hand into the garbage, and it looks pretty cool. So I'm just going to take that, Command C, come over here, Command V, and I'm going to hit Command T to transform. I'm just going to make it bigger. I'm going to hit Enter, Return, lower the opacity, change the color balance, midtones, shadows, good. Now I'm going to do another clipping mask. So I'm holding the Option key down till that cursor changes right on the line in between these two, and there we go. I can bring the opacity down even more, go back into the Move tool, move it around, get it in the right place. If there's something like this circle here that you don't like, with your clone stamp tool and stamp it out. So if I want it to look more like this texture down here and not be such a light area, hit the Option key, select the area you want to copy, and then just clone stamp that out. Come over here, hit the Option key, and just get rid of that. All right, and then I just did the same thing with the tree and made that another layer, and that's pretty much it. Then to save it, I'm going to go to Layer, Merge Visible. So the Merge Visible will keep the transparent background. If you want to have it, if your website has a background color and you don't want a white box on it, File, Export, Quick Export as PNG, and then you can do File, Save As, and make it a JPEG, and that will flatten it out. Cancel. But the most important thing is you want to save the Psd file with all these layers in it so you can come back and make changes. So if you've flattened the image, go back in your history panel here before you've merged it and make sure you save it as a PSD.